it's me, Dr. Glanton. Today I wanted to speak to you about a very specific type of strength. So today's episode is actually, we're up to episode 5. Can you believe it? And it's called Heard in the Middle. Well, this is for women or men or whoever, right? I want to speak to you if you feel like you're sandwiched in the middle or in between generations, because this is important because I'm a baby boomer. So I want to talk about the impact of that, not only in our thinking, but just what our beliefs were and how different they were and how they've impacted how we view life and challenges. So this will help us look between the generations, between the responsibilities, what we expect, between our expectations and the ones who are still standing but quietly asking, like, what about me? And it's funny because my middle daughter, she always is asking me that question. What about me, Mom? So this episode is for you. It's not a lecture. It's definitely not a fix. It's just a moment. It's just a moment of honesty, and mainly of honesty about how we've been seeing things. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my personal story really quick. So I grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I think I've mentioned that before, and I'm the youngest baby boomer. So the youngest baby boomer goes up to year 1960, and that's when I was born. Then we change over to the millennials, Gen Xers, and the next generation. So I'm the last one of the baby boomers. So I was raised as a baby boomer, and I have 3 sisters and 2 brothers. My brothers are younger than me, but I'm the youngest female, and I have older sisters. And my family raised me to endure, raised me to serve, raised me to keep going no matter what. So that has been part of my upbringing. You just keep going, keep going. So I've raised 3 children, and if you didn't know, my children are 42, Shay and Ladera is 35, and my son Kwame is 31. So they walk in that space between 2 worlds, my world as a baby boomer and their world. And I have to be honest that all the times that I was raising them in my world, they're part of a generation I was part of a generation that had lots of promises. I was told, Leslie, go to college, get your education, the house, the car, the picket fence. You're going to have it all because you do these things. If you follow 1 through A through Z, you're going to be fine. So that's what I was taught, and that's what I went off to do. And so naturally, being a parent, once you have a parent or you have those belief systems that come from your family, they come from what you're taught and your experiences. This is the same thing that I taught my children, and probably a 2.0 version of it. So my kids are part of a generation that the reality for them was different than what I said. And actually, it was different for me because that's what my parents believed coming up in the 30s. And they went to school. That's what we had to do as people of color. That's just being honest. Just get an education and work hard and do what you need to do to survive. And that's what we all did. But the world changed, and by the time it got to me, some of that was still working, but a lot of it I found out over the course of my lifetime at 64 didn't quite work out the way my parents told me it would. So I can imagine now, as I'm looking back with my children, they have the same feeling. So they're part of a generation that was promised success through education. All of my kids have degrees. Hard work, but they face a reality filled with instability, something that I didn't think would be a problem for them. Disappointments and constantly shifting definitions of success. So my generation, this definition of success was education. And their time, not so much. And I should have known that because I do have educated sisters and brothers, and they struggled at times, but I didn't really know that that wasn't a silver bullet. So now what? So what do I think? I used to think that what they needed most was structure, strength, direction, because I gave them plenty of that. Oh, I was the structure queen. I gave them lots of direction, and I tried to get them strong, going to school, get those A's, get those scholarships. You're going to be fine. Well, a lot of that is true, and some of it was misguided, and I'm going to be honest with you. It didn't quite work out that way all the time. And what I realized is what they actually needed and still need is space. That is something I'm not good at. And when I say that, I don't mean being absent as a parent. I mean space for them to have their own feelings and space to question and ask questions and space to just rest. To rest from just the go, 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 you gotta get there, keep going, don't stop. That's what I came from. Keep going no matter what type mentality. Well, not feeling okay in this generation. I've learned a lot watching my kids and listening to them, because sometimes I was like, I would handle this so differently. But that's what I'm realizing, that I have to give them the space to have their own feelings and their own experiences. And not feeling okay doesn't mean that something's wrong with you. It doesn't mean that you're broken, unstable, or even weak. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means that your expectations of what you expect to happen may not be happening the way that you thought it should. And so you feel disappointed or you feel discouraged. And that's a real situation. And sometimes it just means that you're finally paying attention to what you need. Like you're cutting out all the noise around you. And the voice that you're listening to more is within you. And I think, to be honest with you, my kids have done more so a better job of listening to their own voice than I did, because I didn't know how. I'm starting to now, but this is years later. But when I was their age, I did not hear my own voice. So they had a lot more questions and a lot more uncertainty, because I was focused on go, 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 endure, endure, endure. And there's a part of that that's good, and there's a part of it that leaves you feeling empty. So you don't need to be diagnosed for that. You just need permission to take a pause. And that's really what reflection is about, and redirection. So my conversation for this generation is that when I was growing up, I didn't know how to pause, and I didn't feel as though that was okay. I needed to keep accomplishing and showing that I was on the go, go, go doing it. But this generation, I say, sometimes you have to stop and see what exactly are you doing and trying to do? Like, how are you going to get there? What are your actual thoughts? Not mine. What are yours? And I think you have to make space for that and room for that. And you have to recognize that maybe everything that you were told or did maybe didn't quite work out, wasn't the best thing. Maybe it was good at that time, but it doesn't mean that it plays out the same each generation. And that's kind of a hard pill to swallow. But I do understand now my grandparents and how they used to always talk about, well, when we were younger, we did X, Y, and we would say, oh my goodness, that was so long ago. And so now I find myself saying the same thing to my kids and my grandkids. So we were taught to be strong. And so I have a different perception of strength. Like, to me, it's just like, you don't give up. You just got to keep digging it out. And part of that may be true, but how mentally, is that mentally healthy for you? I don't have the answer to that. But nobody taught me how to be still. Like, it's okay, because I'm always multitasking and running. My mind is like thinking about a million things at a time. But stillness is where strength finds its honesty. When you can be still, there's something powerful about that, right? What if you just be quiet? Just be quiet. And don't say anything. Don't think about anything. Just be still in a space where you can, what they say, cut out white noise, meaning that you don't have people in your ear, you're not listening to that, you're not thinking about anything. You just want to be still for a moment. And for me, that stillness led me to Christ later in my life. It led me to Christ because I was so desperate, because I couldn't keep up with the expectations that I had to be successful. I wasn't there. And so that had me in a frenzy trying to make it, because I felt like I wasn't getting there. I wasn't there. I wasn't doing what, I thought was supposed to be. This is what success looks like, Leslie. And I didn't finish school. All of those things don't necessarily define you. They're helpful things to do. Yes, we have to work. Everybody knows that. There's no free rides, okay? You have to do your part. But I think I didn't understand conceptually what my parents probably meant for me. Is they understood that I needed to do something. And I took it as this is what the answer is in terms of success, and that's not necessarily true. So as I was saying, that stillness for me led me to Christ. But not as the end, as desperation. Actually was the beginning of the transformation of my life over time. Because I was so exasperated and so weary and so tired of trying and not feeling like I could make it or was making it. And that God gave me hope and strength when I didn't have any. Just didn't have any. Now, trust me, it wasn't because I knew. It was His grace helped me. So it's not about religion, but relationship, that relationship that I needed, that I couldn't go to my parents because I was so nerve-wracked and trying to make sure I checked all the boxes. I wish that I had more of an authentic relationship with them, where I could have just went to them and said, Dad or Mom, I don't know what I want to do. I'm confused. I need help, and I just need a break, and am I going to be okay? And if they could have just said a few things to me at that time, that would have probably changed a little bit of things for me in terms of my emotional state about success. I was obsessed with it. And I'd spent a whole lot of time chasing a lot of things to be what I considered or what I thought success looked like. So the light, we all have a light in us, right? And that light in you comes from applause, it comes from achievement, it comes from approval. We all want to feel like, we're accepted and we're approved of by our family and our loved ones and our job. Everybody needs that. Someone to say, good job. I'm proud of you. But it's the little things. It doesn't have to wait till there's some big thing. It should be part of the conversation that you're having all the time. Not only with yourself. Sometimes you have to pat yourself on the back and say, good job. I think I did a good job. And it really doesn't matter what other people think, because it's really, learning how to acknowledge the work that you do. And sometimes when we look for so many other people to validate us, it keeps us in this incredible rabbit hole of looking for approval. And it's very stressful, to be honest, because who can you really, who really can you please except for God? I mean, somebody's going to always find something wrong with you or something that you could do better. So it'll just frustrate you. And so keep that in mind, because we usually transfer our own experiences to others. And so that's what I had to learn, my frustrations. I probably took them out on my kids because I was the little dragging. I didn't want them to be dragging like me. So we got to get it straight. So you put more pressure on them to do things and to achieve things based on your own insecurities or your own fear. That's a good one, fear. Fear of them being stuck or not wanting them to be stuck is a better word, because you feel like you had all the delays in your own life, which aren't true, by the way. So the things I'm telling you now are retrospectively, but they were real in those moments. So I want to encourage you, especially with this scripture. And I wrote this down, so I'm going to pull it up here. So this is in Isaiah 30:15. This is what it says. In repentance and rest is your salvation. In quietness and trust is your strength. And that verse isn't a command. It's an invitation. And mainly, in quietness and trust is your strength. So being quiet and trusting is the strength that we thought that we didn't have. And that means to take time to, number one, rest. Rest your mind, rest your body. To be quiet. Shh, be quiet. And to trust again. To trust that you may not have all the answers. You may not know everything. But trust that you're doing everything that you can. And as long as you keep moving forward and you keep taking purposeful actions in your life, you will be okay. You're going to be okay. That's what I want to tell you. You're going to be okay. It doesn't matter that you got to block out the noise of everybody else telling you how you can't do and you're not doing it, whatever. Block that out. You have the only person that can help you be successful in your life is you. And that relationship that you have that helps you in your journey. And for me, that was Christ. And you will determine what that is for you. But at the end of the day, I promise you, it's going to be you. What you determine success is, not what other people say. And that means that you feel good about the decisions. And you may not listen. There are going to be a lot of decisions that you're not going to feel good about. I promise you. And you're going to make lots of mistakes. But as long as when you fall down, you keep getting up. That's the most powerful thing that I can share with you, is you must get up and dust yourself off and just say, okay, I didn't do that well on that, but I'm getting up. I'm going to try again. And as long as you keep trying, you're going to be just fine. So I have a letter that I've written to the next generation, and it includes my children, and to every son and daughter navigating life in this complicated world. And I want you to know I see you. I see you. You're born into a promise of possibilities. I wrote this for you. Told you could be anything, do anything, achieve anything. And yet here you are. Here you are, carrying silent battles, managing invisible grief, and searching for the meaning in a world that keeps shifting beneath your feet. I come from a generation that measures love through sacrifice. We are raised to endure, to be strong, to keep going. But I now realize strength without softness becomes silence. And you deserve to be heard. I don't have all the answers. And I won't pretend to understand every challenge you face. But I can promise you this. I will listen more than I speak. I will support more than I judge. And I will always remind you that your rest, your healing, and your peace matter just as much as your achievements. You don't have to earn love by performing. You're worthy simply because you are here. And I want you all to know that I love you, not for what you do, but for who you are. So I want you to keep standing, even if your knees are shaking. And when they do, know that you are not alone. With all my heart, I say to you, keep standing. Thank you for this time. I'm so grateful to have this time with you. I'm Dr. Glanton, and I look forward to our next conversation on Still Standing as a Community. Bye.